I've often found with the Oriundo Debate, the foreign players in the Italian national team, that a lot of history has to be accounted for before we start comparing Italy to, for example, France. And that goes on a multitude of topics. You can't compare apples and oranges. It's just simple as that. But I've always kept an open mind, despite what those others may believe. My simple methodology with this is clear. I have no problem with non-ethnic Italians playing for Italy. Those like Claude Aljapong, Ogbonna, Balotelli. These guys, for example, these three I have no issue. Moise Kean, for example, I have no issue with them playing for Italy. I had no issue with Simone Perrotta playing for Italy. I had no issue with Giuseppe Rossi playing for Italy. I had no issue with Jorginho playing for Italy. I had no problem with Fabio Liverani playing for Italy. But there is a line. There's a very clear line, in my opinion. There's a very clear line. When you start using Italy as a fallback option, that is where the line is drawn. It has nothing to do with race. I think that's an absolutely ridiculous claim. When you look at who Italy has, all the youngsters they have, there are a few African Italians who definitely deserve to play for Italy. I've just mentioned a few of them. I had no problem in the past with Balotelli Ogbonna playing. There was even a third one, Nicolau Dumitru, but I believe he went and played for Romania if he did get capped, I'm not sure. But those are just a few examples. There are a lot of others out there. But the issue now has become with Alan, who wants to be, or is being reportedly considered for an Azzurro shirt. He plays for Napoli, and he's regarded as one of the best midfielders who plays in Serie A. But here's where the problem for me becomes. This is where it comes into play. Number one, Alan has maybe a distant great-great-grandfather who is Italian. It's not like he was a Thiago Motta, who even he I opposed in the beginning. And I still have reservations on him playing for Italy because he played for Brazil. Eder, another one. So Alan has no Italian blood, really. Okay? That's not a problem. In itself, it's not a problem. He played for Brazil at the Under-20 World Cup. Okay, that's a problem right there. If you've gone through the youth ranks of a different national team, that's a problem. That's something that Jorginho didn't do. In fact, like I mentioned in the previous podcast, when Jorginho landed in Italy and made it to Serie A, one of the first things he was asked about regarding the national team question was, he said, "Chiamami Giorgio Frello." Call me Giorgio Frello, not Jorginho. From day one, he wanted to play for Italy, not Brazil. He rejected Brazil, and not the other way around. Another problem with Alan. He holds a Portuguese passport. So, theoretically, he could go play for Portugal rather than Italy. But according to the FIFA, for Article 6.4, I believe, Alan does meet one requirement that he could be eligible to play for Italy. He has lived in Italy for at least 2 years, continuously. So that's one. He has one thing that a FIFA regulation would allow him to play for Italy, but he has a lot of bureaucratic hurdles to go through. As I mentioned, he already has Portuguese and Brazilian citizenship. I would doubt that Italy would give him a passport for the EU, or give him an EU passport, because he already has a Portuguese one. So that's issue number one. That's a big problem. That's a big bureaucratic hurdle. The other point is the more the philosophical one, the more the pride, I would say. And I've firmly believed that if a foreign player, if a non-Italian-born player wants to play for Italy, Italy should be his first choice. Otherwise, for me, Italy is a fallback for them. And after winning 4 World Cups and the tradition that Italy has, I'm sorry. For me, that's a non-starter. Truth be told, I don't care about their ethnicity. I think in today's day and age, it's stupid. We would be limiting and would be cutting off a lot of other players. Now, on the other side of the equation, if a player is born in Italy who is not of an ethnic Italian, fine. If he wants to go play for his other nation, go for it. The only issue I ever had with that was him making the decision after going through the youth ranks, and then all of a sudden deciding to play for a different national team. Hakim Mastour, for example. Okay, that's fine. If you want to go play for Morocco, fine. You have the youngster who plays for Venezia, Giacomo Vironi, who plays now for Albania. So the issue isn't both ways. I'm not saying that they can go, we shouldn't just simply reject players on that notion alone because other players do it to Italy. France, that's the big, all of a sudden, it's became the big talking point with France, is how they have all these foreign players. It's a multicultural national team. If that's what you want, then fine. I'm not here to debate you on that, but it's not a fascist talking point by any state of the imagination to say that, hey, I don't think Alan should play for Italy. We have too many youngsters coming through the youth ranks to all of a sudden try to grab stopgap solutions for the sake because it's been a really bad year. That is not going to make Italy a good national team. That's just not. Bringing in these players who have no Italian background, and I think that's important, who don't have Italian citizenship, I think we need to look long-term and give opportunities to the Italian kids who cannot simply go change national teams. You don't have players like Mandragora or Barella who are all of a sudden now going to go play for Spain. They don't have that option. And that's a problem. That's just how it is. They don't have another option to go play for another national team. I always find it funny. Giuseppe Rossi was completely blasted by American soccer fanatics over here for playing for Italy, for deciding to play for Italy, yet he had never once even used U.S. national team resources. He was an Italian youth product very early on when he went to Manchester United and to Parma. So where's the issue? Why is this all of a sudden a quote-unquote far-right talking point? It's not. It's not. But there has to be criteria. There has to be criteria in place. I would love for Cristiano Ronaldo and Lionel Messi to be playing for Italy, I mean, that would be wonderful. But it's just not going to happen. If you want to change teams, and if you want to see, you play for somebody else because your career didn't turn out the way you wanted it to and you couldn't play for Brazil, that's tough luck. And that's all there is to it. There are many good players who never got called up to Italy in its heyday. Think about that. They didn't go change national teams. They just didn't make it to the national team. That's just all there is to it. So I oppose it. I think even if it's a short-term problem, I think the young Italians who are born in Italy should be given playing time. I think it's very wrong, categorically, to now search for foreign options for the national team. I think you're starving and you're depriving those the opportunity to play for their home country in the name of a stopgap solution, even though it is a crisis. I can't imagine that this is the way Italy wants to go. It's amazing, because on one hand of the equation, you have people out there who really believe Alan is going to make Italy a great national team again. That's just not going to happen. There are so many problems at every level of Italian football that one player simply won't make a difference. It will not make a big difference. Italy won 4 World Cups on its own model. I firmly believe that the Oriundi play an important part of the Azzurri's history. There's no denying it. But at this day and age, and at this time in the situation at hand with Italian football, it makes no sense to just all of a sudden want to naturalize foreign players instead of giving the opportunity for those in the home country to improve and get better. These youngsters need minutes. You've got to give Pellegrini, Barella, Mandragora, all these guys minutes because they're never going to get better unless we give it to them. It's as simple as that. And unfortunately, the whole discussion has been skewed into a political conversation, which it shouldn't be. It's sport. I understand that. It's all about fighting for places. They need time.